I should probably be writing, but I needed to take a break because it's getting heavy out there. Every NaNoWriMo, I always get a chance to start writing everything that's on my mind. And then my mind will go into these crazy, really interesting, confusing, torturous, tormenting areas of thought, and then I just can't. I'm just super emotional and I want to get out of it. I'll start writing. Today I'm writing about, and I took a writing course, and the first thing that we were told in this course, it was just one day, just a Saturday class. I said, okay, let me check it out. And it said, the instructor said, I said it. The instructor said, okay, I want you guys to write about something that you have never told anyone. So I'm like, okay. Uh, Words begin to flow out of me. I began to get overwhelmed with emotion and I just couldn't stop crying. I went into the bathroom to excuse myself like 6 or 7 times. I said 6 or 7. It only happened 2 times. But for me, I was like sitting here writing, getting choked up because this is nonfiction writing, right? This is nonfiction. So, nonfiction is completely different from creating a story and getting emotional about it. It's real life. If it's a memoir, it's a small portion of your life that you begin to write with. So, this was my real introduction to other writing courses. All of the things that I write stem from from being born in this class. I'd only known how to write academic papers because that's just what happens in higher ed. My parents work as professors, so it's just a journal or a book with thousands of sightings and, academic stuff. Sometimes it's fun to write, but usually it's okay. Um, so when I was told, when God told me that I was going to write this, my first book, something to show for it, I received this piece of prophetic download. I was given the lettering of how it was going to look, and I was given this information and I had to go and decipher it. Now this was my first book, so I was like, okay. And I was just writing trauma after trauma after trauma. Now that was how I actually I was writing my first book. At first, I didn't want to write about myself. I don't enjoy writing personal things. It feels like way too much information I'm giving people anyway. I was fighting almost with God. Like, do I have to write about myself? And what happened was I had kind of dissected in my first journey with a one-way ticket to Mexico with $200 and a 10 months journey. So 6 months in Mexico, and I had no idea, but I just looked at my visa and I'm like, okay, it's expired. So I crossed over into the border of Guatemala and I stayed there for 4 months. And so I had no idea at the time that I was going to write about myself. I had kind of like talked to all these other people who were traveling as well, and I had made it into a category. These people were categorically placed, and I wanted to write about the people I had found inside of my travel. So hey, I had found that there was 3 categories of people, just like my little screen here has 3 categories. So the first was the one-way ticket person who would just go, and then either they were on a break from work or whatever. Then we had those who would have like a vacation or a month, and then they would go back and resume their life. And then those who never really left, they're the ones who help make the small towns and the villages just amazing because they don't know anything else. So I had just kind of seen these 3 types of people. There was I had kind of dissected it to how long, what triggered them to leave, and I had all of this amazing stuff, and I wanted to write about that. But then as I began writing my book, God said, I need you to write about yourself. There's a reason I took you out of law school. At that moment, I knew I was never going back to law school. I was just going to go ahead and write about myself. And I really didn't want to. So I took a course, and when I took this course, it was just things began to align. Again, that's the prophetic. Things always just work out perfectly. And so I began writing about my trauma and what I saw in Ghana and the cultural trauma that it induced from me just from all of my years of living. So today I was writing again. Look at my eyes. I was writing again, and I'm just getting so overwhelmed. I had to take a break and just say, okay, I'm just going to talk to you guys because this writing is getting a bit too heavy. Um, so nonfiction writing kind of works like that, especially memoirs or personal essays or personal experiences. Um, it's not always from this most beautiful place. Like sometimes a woman having a baby is a beautiful story. However, the woman who tried to get pregnant 6 times and didn't, and then the seventh is the most incredible story, right? The person like Michael Jordan who has failed in basketball and everybody says you're a failure, but yet becomes a world champion. These are some of the best stories because it just comes from this. And Rocky, everybody loves Rocky. Everybody loves the underdog until you are the underdog and it just keep happening. If you gotta write about it and it's personal, it just like, oh. So I'm in the middle of it right now. I'm in the middle of writing a very painful, traumatic experience, and I wanted to just encourage you to do the same. If you are writing or you're thinking about writing a book, you're thinking about writing even just a chapter of something, please do it. We have 20 days. Well, I said 20. It's the 19th, so tomorrow's the 20th, and I'm thinking that. But we have a few days before the end of the month, and you're going to write as many words as you can. There's 30 days. I'm on an advanced track to get to as much writing as I can. I feel like I'm extremely behind. I have about 1,500 word, let me even check, 14,810 words. And I'm writing about my trauma, so I got to take a few minutes to get some water and talk to you for a minute so I can update this. And this has been one of the most trying times for me, but I'm just happy to go about it. So, writing about your trauma. If you want to do this to help yourself with NaNoWriMo, I recommend you do this, please. Writing about your trauma is important. There are some things that make you you that nobody else is able to do. Now, it could be how I was even writing an episode for this inside of my NaNoWriMo because it's an important part as well. Like maybe somebody dropped the ball with you when you were growing up or missed the mark. I'll talk about that in another video. And how maybe they weren't able to help you succeed in certain goals, and or you had always been the odd one out and why you felt like that, or the one conversation that happened with the bully on the playground, or somebody that said something to you that was off, or some of the things that happen that you never tell people about. This gives us a world or an understanding into you even deeper. Now, I have to tell you, even though I published my first book and it's like even years from now, there's some parts I personally just can't go to. I feel like it's so personal. People who have just said, "Oh, it's just so real." But the thing is, I just feel so raw and exposed, and just like I'm like, okay, put it down, don't read anymore. It's like so personal of my thoughts. But in order to write, I feel effectively, in order to really garner the emotions that you need to write the experience to allow the reader to have their own. I can't say that I wanted a reader to feel X, Y, or Z. I just wanted to get all my feelings off on the page. Now, I don't want you to feel like, oh, I just love this character. I just wanted to tell you what happened. This was my experience. This is what happened, and this is my goal is just to get it out. And so this to me is not like, it's not like fictional writing where you can craft your characters and they're going through outrageous situations, and it's like Grey's Anatomy, and then this character, they are all amazing. They get into a car crash. This one has PTSD. This one goes fishing and holds the fish and cries and realizes she wants to do medicine again after working in a bar. I mean, it's not really like that. It's like, and I'm not making light of it. I'm just saying you want the character, that there's a feeling that you want to elicit from each character. Sometimes I don't want to build take 45 pages to build that up. I just kind of want to get to the point. So that's how this is. This is why I recommend this. This is how my brain works in short segments. Let's just get it, get the point across and get it moving. So I implore you to do the same thing. If you are in a NaNoWriMo slump, why don't you write about a trauma or a thing that you feel like really defined you as an individual and some of the ways you think, or why you feel like maybe you're not understood, or something that you've really never told anyone. One woman she talked about a reason why she never wanted to have children. And I talked about something that happened in Africa, the ships, and me seeing trauma that just kind of came up at the beach. So this is powerful stuff. I mean, you can't make it up, especially if it's personal writing. So thank you for the break. Oh, wow, I feel better. I feel like I could go back to write again. This is very heavy. I mean, when you're taking something on so personally, so vulnerably, so vulnerably, but you're just being vulnerable in a space where you have to just be vulnerable and be honest with yourself. Sometimes it's not 150% easy to show up. That's why I recommend that book start finishing. We are only able to be ourselves for ourselves. So this is not an easy task. It requires you to show up and have the guts, not just to say it to yourself, but to read it in front of your listening groups, not your critiquing groups. Yesterday I made a video, or I don't know when I'll post this, but the last uploaded video I made was about how a lot of people are just like blind mice trying to understand what the whole picture is, and they're just critiquing things that's very, very vulnerable. So you want to either just wait until the book is published or what, but when you share your story, there is a part of you that is just going to leap for joy. So I just hope that this has blessed you today. Please continue writing. Don't give up. I'm going to finish strong. I wish you the best. Okay, let's get back to writing, guys.